Okay, so I don't want to talk about Will Smith's personal life, because quite frankly, I feel like every minute detail of what's wrong with his marriage and sex life has been thrust into my face for like the past 7 years. But with today's request being literally about, well,
Will Smith is canceled.
Oh, you can't cancel no I can't.
He walking around like he all invincible or somebody.
I pretty much have to now. So yeah, this is Will Smith's latest single, Barbershop, a song where he essentially addresses the slap heard round the world by way of what a typical conversation at the barbershop would have sounded like after the public falling apart of Will and Jada's relationship. I mean, that infamous slap at the Oscars was what really blew up his personal scandals into an international spectacle, but what led us to that point was a trail of shit that I did not need to know about that kept being shown to me. Seriously, I know people have said everything I've learned about this situation has been involuntary, but for me, it was literally true. I was at a gym while a radio was playing when I first heard people discussing Jada Pinkett cheating on Will Smith with one of her son's equally aged best friends. Then I saw the crying Will Smith meme. And oh, where did that come from, I asked, as I googled the source of the clip. Why, it's only Jada Pinkett's show Red Table Talk, where she had him and her daughter on to talk about how her mom had sex with her son's best friend and how much she fawns over the relationship she had with Tupac while talking about Will like he's a scrub. Then I would just keep getting nuggets of info that would feel like a puzzle piece slowly sliding together in front of me that I wasn't trying to solve. Like, for instance, did you know that Will and Jada were trial separated by 2016, years before any of this information came to light? Yeah, so when you saw this...
Oh, wow! Wow!
That was Will Smith defending the honor of a woman he hadn't been living in the same house with for at least half a decade by that point. So you gotta ask yourself, did he do it because Chris Rock's joke was just so pointed and mean, he just had to respond? Wait, what was that joke again?
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it.
Yeah, that was the joke that got Will Smith up in arms. Like, literally. Yeah, a G.I. Jane reference. Because that movie's about a woman who had to shave her head for the army, and she's bald now, so he made a connection that was innocuous at best. And I know people have brought up that apparently she has alopecia, and men and women can feel self-conscious about that, so I get it being possibly sensitive. But first off, alopecia isn't life-threatening, and it's certainly not something that warrants putting your hands on someone over. Because I'm sorry, once you hit someone over something they just said, you're the one who loses in that confrontation. And it's not like a cancer diagnosis, and it's like, oh, geez, you'd be a monster to joke about that. That's not on the same level. And besides, it's not like she was wearing a hat and hiding her head or anything, and she looked pretty damn good anyways. Cause shit, Jada's always killed the short hair looks, so most people probably didn't even think twice about her rocking the bald. And hell, in all the involuntary info dumps I got, alopecia literally never came up, so it's not like it was just a common knowledge thing that, oh, Chris Rock, you should have known not to go there. And third, Will Smith himself didn't seem to mind the joke at first when he was laughing right before seeing Jada's reaction. Yeah, right after the camera cuts away from her unflattered look, all of a sudden this shit goes from a harmless joke to being worthy of throwing hands. Now look, I understand having an initial involuntary laugh reaction, then meeting her eyes, seeing that she's angry about something personal in their lives that struck a chord and getting incensed about it. But nah, after knowing what I know, it would seem to me that the Occam's razor explanation of that situation is that Will, after years of clearly being publicly emasculated, saw this moment as an attempt to look badass in front of his woman, hoping that getting all tough and angry in her name would help win her back, when all he did was overreact to the kind of light comedic love taps you expect at the Oscars. That shit was season 26 Simpsons level celebrity mockery at best.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth!
Interesting choice of words for a relationship where, as Jada has now described, you haven't called each other husband and wife in years. Nah, bro, this wasn't about alopecia. This was about toxic masculinity. And toxic femininity when I think about it. Because, come on now, if y'all heard Will Smith was dating Willow's best friends, girls around her age, the kind of people online who talk about the age of girls Leonardo DiCaprio dates would not let you forget it. And the whole red pillow sphere's response to all this shit is, well, Will Smith just ain't been being a man enough to put her in check. But no, fuck that. The reality of the whole picture is these two people clearly weren't compatible anymore, but they were lying to the public and themselves, either out of obligation to an image or whatever antiquated notions of black struggle love that they felt that they had to endure just because they already agreed to be together forever. So they toughed it out until it clearly became unbearable.
Who the fuck Will Smith think he is? And that boy damn crazy how you raising them kids.
And, I feel like I don't hear about their kids in the news that often, actually. I never feel like I'm being involuntarily ambushed by random news stories about the shitty things they've done or anything. I kind of feel like they came out pretty well adjusted, all things considered. I mean, Willow just makes interesting music as far as I hear, and Jaden Smith said some awkward philosophy 101 shit on Twitter when he was a teenager, but that's hardly the worst thing in the world a child celebrity could do with their fame. As an adult, though, he seems to just make his little pretentious art school projects, probably funded by his parents, and minds his business. Like, sure, there could be some future event that makes me saying this ironic or whatever, and I'm sure when it happens, happens, I'll be notified by the ever-flowing ecosystem of internet content from people whose only sole form of observation is to say, hey, did you know this celebrity was thought of in a good way? But then that news story everyone's already heard by now came out, and it made people think of them in another way. Sorry, I just feel like I've gotten a torrent of videos on YouTube and Instagram since 2017 from brilliant content creators who kept bringing this up as a poorly aged lyric.
I want a real love. That Jada in that real love.
It's like, yes, we're all aware, you guys. All that said, though, there were people who took the conversation this way. Should we forgive him for slapping him? And look, it's not like he hit us. It's up to Chris Rock to do that. But in terms of, should it be socially acceptable to let him keep working in Hollywood and for us to go see his movies and stuff? Maybe if you had like a pattern of violent behavior, I could see it. But that was clearly an isolated, stupid incident where he got heated. There's celebrities who have done way worse shit consistently that we need to get up out of here first.
I heard he down bad.
I heard he won the Oscar, but he had to give it back.
Now, he didn't have to do that, but apparently he is banned from any Oscar events for 10 years. And while that still feels like a bit much over a slap and some cursing, there's actually a lot of FCC fines you can apparently deal with on live TV if stuff doesn't go the way the censors agree. So I can understand people had to make him face some consequence for what probably cost them. And I realize so far I've barely talked about the song, but yo, this is what happens when the artist makes the art inseparable from the persona, goddammit. But hey, I feel like these are conversations worth having, especially since with this track, he's essentially playing into the discourse. And while I certainly give an artist props for not shying away from what people are saying about them, I can't help but feel like he still kind of handled the situation with kid gloves in the actual lyrics of the song. Like, you heard some of the shit I brought up about him and Jada's relationship. Yeah, none of that gets directly mentioned.
He gonna drop a new record like we all gonna forget. He need to take another year and untangle some shit.
This is the closest he gets to alluding to Jada's cheating, where some could argue the use of untangle is a reference to the entanglements comment Jada made about her cheating on Will. But otherwise, I feel like there's an uneven number of bars that are more self-congratulatory than anything.
Do the shit, he can fit your whole house in his pool.
He don't need it. He the first to win a Grammy for rap.
That's a fact.
He rich, funny, and sexy too.
Alright, buddy, you're gonna get carpal tunnel from jerking yourself too much now. And I get that he's doing it to show the back and forth of the people arguing, but then when you get to the things that are supposed to be the insults, they feel a little light next to the ego-shielding brag bars.
Boy, I don't even remember the last flick he did.
You don't remember last?
Ooh, maybe don't bring up that one.
What about Men in Black?
You weren't even in the last one.
I know your badass squad Bad Boys. I know you remember that.
What's the soundtrack?
Soundtrack? I don't remember hearing any Will Smith songs on the soundtrack for Bad Boys or Bad Boys 2. What are you talking about? Now, again, there are a couple of jabs in there, but they feel really featherweight, especially compared to the brags.
I don't like his damn music. That nigga don't fucking curse.
Like, okay, I get bringing that up, and he did do it in a funny way, but that's always been a criticism he's dealt with.
You wish you had a Jada Pinkett next to you.
Him and Jada both crazy.
One thing's for sure, you can't call him lazy.
I ain't trying to call him lazy. I'm calling the nigga crazy.
Like, oh, he's crazy. Jada and Will sure are crazy. Like, yeah, I feel like that's the most cutting that it really gets.
One classic album, what that make him Jay-Z? Jay-Z plus movies and TV.
And, you know, damn, that is a good point. Like, at the end of the day, the man is an undisputed hip-hop icon. One of the first to go from rap to TV to movies. Like, there's not many who can say they've done all three and been successful and good at it. Like, for all you want to see him taken down a peg or two by himself, it's undeniable that the guy's had a stellar career. To the point that he's so huge, people don't even think about him as a rap star anymore. He really was a renaissance man who was able to manage it all and look good doing it. Like, even if things flame out from here, you absolutely can't take that away from the man.
But if he came right now, you'd be like, come in, Mr. Smith, would you please sit down?
And I'm a bit torn on how to receive the song critically, because sure, it's fun to bring up exactly how two-faced these same type of folks talking shit on him would be the moment he came in, and the fact is, yes, he's a megastar, so of course everyone's still gonna trip over each other's balls to kiss his ass. Hell, if he came in here right now, I'd still do a double take and dap him up and ask for an autograph like any other 90s hip-hop kid who looked up to him. But what I don't like is how this plays out in the song, to where it feels like it's rolling over even the famous criticism levied here to still say in the face of it all, okay, but you guys still, like, love me and want to kiss my ass though, right? Because of course, this is how the video ends.
Oh, yes he is, and I ain't never gonna forgive him for that shit he did.
Shit. Come in,
Come in, Mr. Smith. Would you like to sit down?
Yeah, the ultimate punchline comes down to the massaging of Will Smith's ego. I mean, he comes in with the damn Oscar in his hand like he's a goddamn South Park parody of a vain celebrity. But here, it's not Phil Collins clinging to his award to show that he's a dick. It's Will holding his award like, yeah, I am still that guy, and I actually did get to keep the Oscar, thank you very much. Well, overall though, I think I'd have to give this one, 4 out of 5. As much as I complain about it not digging deep enough lyrically, the presentation and mixing of the different voices is really cool and does do a fun job of emulating that conversational flurry of different perspectives going at each other, despite not really going that hard on himself when you zoom out to the whole picture. Although, does he owe us a complete dissection of his psyche for all to see? Maybe not, but for how the video is set up, it gives the perception that it's gonna go a little harder in terms of the wild convos black people be having in barbershops, especially about celebrities. And sure, there are a few jabs to his public persona in there, but like, you've heard the stuff I mentioned about his legally separated but not technically ex-wife having an affair with his son's friend when he was 23 and she was 44. Like, that shit never gets explicitly mentioned. There's nothing that really digs under the skin of his ego, but for what it is, there's just enough goofs and gags at the celebrity's expense that you at least get a couple good chuckles out of it. So, season 14 Simpsons. Well, that's the episode. So check all that fun stuff out and I'll catch you next time. Peace.
She ain't the reason to hit everybody. Just don't do it. She ain't the reason to kick an old man down a flight of stairs. Just don't do it.
And I thought it was fake. I didn't know. So I asked him, I go, well, you know. He said, what? I said, well, did it hurt? And he said, yes, nigga, it hurt. And then I knew that it was real. And then, and only then, was I offended. And I wasn't just offended that he got slapped. That was only half of it. The real offensive part was that after they slapped him, this nigga Will just sat down and enjoyed the rest of his evening. It was crazy. It was the fuck is this? And people would ask me all the time. They'd say, Dave, what would you do if you were Chris Rock and Will Smith slapped you in the face? And to this day, the answer is the same. Well, I don't know what I would have done. I've never been in a situation that extreme. But I do know now what Will Smith would not have done. And that is enjoy the rest of his evening.